My name is Pastor Hal York, and welcome to Truth in the Trenches. Today we're going to be in Proverbs chapter 11, verses 10 and 11. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices, and when the wicked perish, there is joyful shouting. By the blessing of the upright, a city is exalted, but by the mouth of the wicked, it is torn down. And I think we see two contrasts here. We see two contrasts of how people choose to live and the effect it has on the people around them, whether it's in a family, in a neighborhood, or maybe you're in a ruler and you're ruling over a city or over a nation. The choices you make and the principles you live by have a profound impact on the people around you. Let's see those contrasts. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices. By the blessing of the upright, a city is exalted. So there's one side. Now look, contrast that with when the wicked perish, there's joyful shouting. But by the mouth of the wicked, the city is torn down. Let me read some verses that illustrate why this is so. The curse of the Lord is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. Proverbs 3:33. He who says to the wicked, you are righteous, people will curse him. Nations will abhor him. Proverbs 24:24. Like a roaring lion and a rushing bear is a wicked ruler over a poor people. Proverbs 28:15. When the wicked rise, men hide themselves, but when they perish, the righteous increase. Proverbs 28:28. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice, but when a wicked man rules, people groan. Proverbs 29:2. The blessing of the righteous, the blessing of choosing to live rightly, of following Christ, of following biblical principles in your life. The Beatitudes, I think, give us some wonderful attitudes to show us what a true believer lives like, what his attitudes are like. The attitudes of the righteous are humble. They mourn over sin. They're gentle. They hunger and thirst for righteousness. They're merciful. They're pure in heart, pure in motives. They're peacemakers. But just think about the opposite could be said about the wicked. Proverbs would tell us, as we've seen over and over again, that the wicked are proud. They mock at sin. They're driven by desires for sex and money and power. They're never satisfied. They're merciless. They're driven by impure motives. They're violent. They're paranoid. They mock justice. They're cruel. They're oppressive. They have no clue over what they stumble. They have a filthy mouth. They're self-serving and selfishly motivated. Paul tells us in Timothy, realize this, in the last days difficult times will come. For men will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, revilers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, without self-control, brutal, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. All of those attitudes affect people around them. Those are not just things people do in a vacuum somewhere disconnected from society. Those are things, whether you're a ruler, whether you live in a neighborhood, if you have those things in your life, that they are going to have a profound impact on the people around you and your family, on the people you lead if you're a leader. Imagine the Hitlers and the Stalins, who killed millions of people in their own places, nations that they were leading. They were characterized by such attitudes of these. Wickedness breeds fear, hatred, oppression. Wickedness seeks to protect the wicked. It's a far cry from what God said rulers are to do. Rulers are not a cause for fear for good behavior, but for evil. Do you want to have no fear of authority? Do what is good, and you will have praise from the same. For it is a minister of God to you for good. But if you do what is evil, be afraid, for it does not bear the sword for nothing. For it is a minister of God, an avenger who brings wrath on the one who practices evil. That's Romans 13:3 and 4. When justice, truth, the good of the nation is ignored, when wicked men and women rule, whether it's in a home, in a neighborhood, or over a nation, when wicked men and women rule, their goal is to protect and to promote wickedness. Wickedness is always trying to promote itself. Satan is always trying to tempt people to commit wickedness, to commit sin. And when that happens, the good of the general population is irrelevant. It just wants to spread wickedness. Those who do good or would do good, who seek justice, who seek truth, They are the ones in such a society who need to be afraid. And such is the case in the society we live in today. One needs only to look at the history of Israel in 1st and 2nd Kings and 1st and 2nd Chronicles and see the profound impact that both wicked kings and godly kings had on those nations as they were leading them. Biblical values and principles of servant leadership and humility and justice and morality, of guarding against evil, of punishing wrongdoers, of honesty and commerce. When these virtues are placed and held in high esteem and practiced, serving in government for the good of the people, peace and safety, God's blessing is upon that nation, and it is a place people want to live. It's a place where people rejoice, because godly virtues produce safety and security in the lives of people. There's a peace. There's a contentment. As we get to the end of Proverbs, I think we have the summary statement regarding the wicked and the righteous that I think is quite profound. And we certainly see it being played out in our culture today. An unjust man is detestable to the righteous, and he who is upright in the way is detestable to the wicked. Who are detestable people to the wicked? They're people who do what is right. Who are the detestable people, or those considered to be an abomination in our society today? Those who would stand up for the unborn child, call abortion murder. Those who would stand for biblical morality, husband and wife, marriage between a man and a woman, who call perversion sin. That these are the ones being silenced. These are the ones our culture is trying to cancel. Why? Because he who is upright in the way is detestable to the wicked, and our nations are being torn apart. God blesses the righteous. We've said that over and over and over in Truth in the Trenches. God blesses the righteous, and we see that demonstrated in these two verses. God blesses a nation whose God is the Lord. But the healing in our land is not going to come through a change in political leaders or economic renewal. It's going to come through the preaching of the gospel of Christ. Changed hearts are what's needed. But we do need to remember the profound impact that how we live has on the people around us. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices. And when the wicked perish, there's joyful shouting. By the blessing of the upright, a city is exalted. But by the mouth of the wicked, it is torn down. May this truth guide us and guard us in the trenches of life as we seek to live our lives for the glory of God and the good of others. May God bless.